Will buildings and buses be sanitized thoroughly? Will this occur during the school day as well as after? Yes, we have purchased equipment and supplies to keep the buildings and buses sanitized. Highly touched surfaces will be sanitized during the day as well as after school. Will hand sanitizer be available for students and staff? Yes, the district has purchased and installed hand sanitizer dispensers throughout the schools. If I choose a virtual program for my child, can I switch to in-person? Yes, but there will be a delay period for the district planning purposes. We're not sure if we're going to define the time yet of the delay. We're going to have to see if we need to. If we do need to, we will do whatever we can to make it as fast as possible for parents, but also to allow us time to plan. Has the district plan been vetted by medical professionals? Yes, the school physician, St. Clair's Infectious Disease Department, district head nurse, and local and county departments of health. Will water fountains be open for use? The bottle fillers will be open for use. The fountain part will not be available. Parents are encouraged to send their students to school with a reusable water bottle. What is the plan if a student or staff member gets sick or tests positive for COVID? The district will work with the local health department, school physician, and will consult the district policy as well as guidance from the CDC and the State Department of Health. I also included a link to the document that all staff will utilize when or if a staff member or student does test positive for COVID or gets sick. It's a 25-page document with information from the district policies, from the CDC, from the state, and from the state health department. So that's our frequently asked questions. Again, if you think that there's something else that we should have asked out of those, or want to hear one again or something like that, please let me know. The last thing we want to go through with you is our family plans for returning to school in September survey. So this survey will require a parent to fill out one for each child. Here's the wording at the top. For planning purposes, we need accurate information from families. Please review our draft reopening plan and then answer the questions accordingly. Please note, due to personnel and scheduling issues, there will be a delay in rescheduling parents if they decide to change their decision. Access to student schedules on Genesis will not be available prior to completion of the survey. So the first question is, what's the parent or guardian's name? Second is parent or guardian email address. Third is parent or guardian phone number. Then we have student name. Student school is a drop-down menu. Student grade is also a drop-down menu. And by the way, in student school, there's other, because this will go to all of our families, including some out of district. And rather than leave them out of the information, I wanted to give them the option to put in other. Here's our questions now. After reviewing the district's draft reopen plan, will your son or daughter attend in person, or do you opt for a fully virtual program for September 2020? Please note, due to personnel and scheduling issues, there will be a delay in rescheduling if parents decide to change their decision. Please let us know, the second question, please let us know if you need assistance with technology for the virtual learning component of the plan. The answers are, we do not need technology assistance at home. We need help with connectivity, in parentheses, internet. We need help with devices. We need an accurate count for this question. When classes resume in fall 2020, would you be able and willing to transport your children to and from school each day? Note, this survey question will help us better gauge the district's ability to reduce the number of children on the school bus due to possible social distancing requirements. The answer is yes or no. And then we leave an open-ended part at the end. Is there any additional information you wish to provide us at this time? Can I'll just open it up to our administrators if there's anything that you feel like I might have missed or want to add in. Okay. So now's the time where you can type in some questions if you have any. Here's a question now. When opting into or out of the bus, can it be different for drop off and pickup? It's a good question. We haven't really thought of that yet. What do you think, Stacy? Any idea?
Well, we really, truthfully, yeah, we haven't thought about that at all. Not at all, but I guess the question is, like, maybe they could drop off in the morning, but they would need us to transport their student home. The way we're looking at it now, we're trying to keep it under 50%. So I guess it all depends on how many parents choose to drop their children off right now.
Okay, so it really doesn't help us much if that's the case. So we're really looking for people that are willing to do it both ways. Or maybe we need to add, if they're going to attend aftercare, because then aftercare would take them off the bus. So maybe that's something we need to think of. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Will there be designated teachers for parents who decide to do remote learning? We're not sure about that yet due to the fact that we don't know how many people are going to decide to do it. We may consider in some grade levels, if there's enough children, to have a virtual class only. Like, for example, say there's 25 first graders that want to do virtual. We could assign a teacher to do a virtual class, and that could be across the town too. It doesn't necessarily have to be just Lakeview or just Riverview. So the answer is we're not sure yet. We hope to get that information from the survey. How will the virtual component work? Are there set hours? Will kids utilize daycare, have the opportunity to do virtual component during the day? The virtual component will be two different things. It will include some live streaming, which would mean it would be set at the same time as the regular lesson. And then we expect to be doing some other virtual things too that may have a more flexible time. And then if they are utilizing the daycare, yes, they would have a district Chromebook that they could do the afternoon work on. Can we include a question involving the ability of the school to assure proper social distancing in classrooms at all times? I don't know if that would be in the survey. So Cindy, just make sure you capture all this for me so I can think about it later.
Yes, it's all being saved.
Okay. Sneeze guards up. Question and answer. With sneeze guards up, what will that time be a student can remove their masks? Are there any other precautions? So that's something that probably needs to be added. Mask breaks is basically the question. So we can provide some mask breaks when the students are in the sneeze guards. They won't be really long. The health department feels like 5 minutes at a time is what they're looking for. What is the timeline for reevaluation of the program? Wow. Well, we'll always reevaluate as we go, but yeah, that's basically what we're going to reevaluate everything. We'll look at it as we go. I'm sure it's going to be fluid. It won't be something that we come up with the answer to everything right off the bat. So I think it's going to be something that'll be reevaluated all the time. In order to answer the bus question, will you release any changes to the school times beforehand? We decided not to change the school times today. So the school times will be the same they were before. Basically a 7:30 start for the middle school, 8 o'clock for the for Lakeview, and 8:30 for Valley View.
Dr. Forte, can you repeat those times? Because I think they were a little messed up. You just said 8:30 for Valley View.
Sorry, 7:30 Valley View, 8 a.m. Lakeview, 8:30 Riverview. Sorry about that. Could be by child. It will be by child. All of this is by child. So the parent has to fill it out for each child. So there's a question, will there be a health screening for each student and staff member each day? Yes, a visual screening and an online form. Will students be required to participate in the virtual component? Hold on one second. Will students be required to participate in the virtual component and be visible to teachers? Can I get Sandy to answer that?
Okay, hold on, I'm reading them too. Well, it really will depend. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it really will depend on the scenario. If we have enough students that we have a virtual teacher, that's a totally different environment than if we only have 5 students at home and are participating in live streaming. The students would be able to observe the teacher, but the teacher's focus would not be going over and answering the questions of the at-home student. There will be a designated time during the day for working with those students that are working from home. So if it's different. If there's a virtual teacher, then it would be the student and the teacher conversing in live time. If it's a live streaming situation, then we can't guarantee that the teacher would be able to answer questions or work with the students at home. They would have another time to do that. Hope that answered that.
Okay. Question is, what if a student or staff member does not complete the virtual check-in procedure in the morning? We're gonna work with people to get that virtual check done, and then we'll have to have staff rounding up people who don't do it and stop them. Okay, let's see. Next one. Questions regarding the plan and/or Q&A. How are meals, lunch being handled? So we probably need to handle something about snacks. There's no meals or lunch unless they deal with the aftercare, and that would go by each aftercare. They have their own thing. So we'll include something about that in the plan. How are we reducing the number of children in the hallway between classrooms? We're going to stagger them and use the signage that we said in there before. Regarding the positive COVID test, we want to include highlights of the plan, number of days, quarantine. All that information is in that document I have. Will parents have info on class size prior to submitting their final decision of whether or not? No, they won't. We won't know the class sizes until we know who's doing what. Will COVID testing be made available to staff and students on a regular basis? No. The school district will not provide COVID testing. Second question on the transportation be divided up into drop off and pickup so that parents will consider that. We have to think about how to reword that one about the bus and the drop off pickup. Okay. Can the students stay home if they don't feel well and participate in virtual learning if they are usually an in-person student? We talked about this today. Sandy, you want to jump in on that?
Sure. I think it depends on the length of the absence and what the absence is for. Let's say if it's just one day not feeling well, we would not have them switch over to a virtual situation. We would have them just touch base as they would if they were regularly absent and do the makeup work. If we knew they were being quarantined for 2 weeks, or if they were going to be out for an extended time, then we would look at setting them up with the virtual option, because if it's a separate teacher, we would want to be moving them into that class. But if it's just the live streaming, so again, it depends on the scenario that we're able to offer, but I would say no if it's just like a one-day absence, and if extended, then yes.
as a parent, I would need far more of these questions answered in more detail in order to make a decision for in-person versus virtual. As fluid as the program needs to be, I think the delay needs to be further explained so that parents feel that they have the option to work from home after making the commitment in person or vice versa. Why don't you give me a call directly so we can have more of a conversation about that? Will the aftercare be provided until the end of the regular day or until 6 p.m.? What is the cost? So the question is, so aftercare will be provided the regular day until 6 p.m. So we will have an aftercare that goes to the regular end of school day. That will be the most reduced amount possible from the vendors. I don't know all of their costs, but the YMCA is considering around $175 a month. The cost for aftercare from regular dismissal time to 6 p.m. will be their cost that it always has been for the last few years. For the other vendors, I'm not sure of what they charge in the afternoon, and they will have a fee that will for the other time as well. So that's going to be something that each person will have to contact them for. We didn't make arrangements with anybody else except the Y, but we are providing some information to parents if they want to use a different vendor. How frequently will the district guarantee that frequently touched surfaces are being properly sanitized throughout the day? Example, doors, sinks, desks, bathrooms. We will have a cleaning document that we expect to have tomorrow, and there will be a checklist in there. Damaris Goralski's working on that, our business administrator. Some kids come to school without eating breakfast and will struggle to make it 4 hours without a snack. We'll have information about the snack. I understand that students staying in aftercare will have lunch, but will elementary students be allowed to have a snack? So we'll come up with the snack thing. Are there substitutes available and willing to work if a staff member needs to be out? How will he handle subs that work in multiple districts? That's definitely a complicated issue, and that's a complicated issue for every district. We have our group of subs, and we're expecting that they get back to us soon, hopefully by the end of next week, to decide if they're coming back. And they will. We have our typical subs. We'll work with them, and then hopefully we'll have enough people for the other things. And we also talked about some other ideas today with the administrative team of trying to cover some of it internally. Is there an option if parents decide to change to a virtual option after initially sending to school? I've been hearing a lot of parent feedback after the initial discussions that having all kids in school for a half day might be crowded and not ideal. So yes, there is an option if you take the virtual option and then decide to send them to school, but there will be a delay in scheduling. I can't tell you what the delay is, but it will be a delay. Will the district provide bus transportation at the end of aftercare regular school day? No, there won't be transportation after the regular dismissal time, but there will be transportation to aftercare if parents need that. So if any of the other vendors, if the children are going to go to one of the other vendors, our transportation will take them there. But the only transportation home will be at the 4-hour dismissal time. And yes, the YMCA will provide morning care at Riverview, and there is a vendor that will provide morning care at Lakeview as well. Will before or after programs such as band and expo still continue? Would you answer that, Dr. Cullis?
Sure. At this point, our after programs will not continue in the way that we have had them. So like Expo may be virtual, band may be virtual, but at this time, the after-school programs will not continue in live as a live offering.
Yeah, our extracurricular program is definitely on hold for now, including sports in Valley View. If things change and we're able to do it, we'll definitely revisit it in September, and hopefully, if that is the case, we'll be able to start it late September or early October. Can a parent go from in-person instructional or virtual at any time? Will there be a 2-week delay there as well? First of all, I want to make sure that I didn't say 2-week. We don't know what the delay is. We're going to ask. We're not sure how long it'll be, but there will be a delay going each way because it's going to take timing and things like that for people to do it. In some cases it won't, because some cases it would be live streamed, and then live streaming might be something that we could do right away. So the answer is it might be able to do it, but there will be some delay. Are you still planning on creating a video to show everything that, yes, we will have a video that we're creating in August, and we were going to send it out prior to the first day of school so everybody can see what it'll look like coming back to school. Now, obviously, we can't do that now because we're still in the middle of planning and getting everything done. But we'll have it out prior to the first day of school. We're shooting for the last day of August. Are staff members required to call in sick if they have one symptom of COVID? If so, will they be required to use a sick day? It's a good question. I'm not sure. We'll have to have our health people answer that question. We will get back to you guys. We'll get back to the group on that. What is the due dates for parents to complete the survey? I think we're looking at something like August 10th to give us time to plan. So the date would be somewhere around August 10th, which they'll have this survey this week, and they'll have 10 or 11 days to fill it out, maybe 12 days. How are classes at Valley View being organized with different streams, et cetera? Seth, would you mind answering that one?
Yeah, so it will depend on the number of people that we hear back from, just like Dr. Cullis said before, on how we're going to set up our virtual component of it. Our schedule is a little bit different than the elementary, so we have some time in the afternoon where we can fit in the virtual component. It might not be at the same exact time in the morning from the 7:30 to 11:30 like our day. So it might run from, say, 12:30 to 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's just, a lot's going to depend on the information we get back from the survey, which is really vital. So.
And a second part of the previous question, just about how we're changing the plan. So based on these survey results, we're going to know how many rooms are live streaming. Are we able to offer a virtual teacher for each grade level K through 5? And those decisions will be made based on this. So we really need everyone's help getting out the word that this is the results and the response is crucial to our decision making. If people wait to the last minute, then our changing of the plan, it means that people are going to have to wait longer to either go virtual or go back to in person. We need to be able to set up our staff and have them prepared to either be virtual, live streaming, or in person, or a combination of those. So again, we really need everyone's help. Anywhere we can to get the information out to fill out that survey by that due date is going to be helpful.
There's a long question about HVAC. I'll have somebody figure that out, and we'll email it out to the group as soon as we can. We have another question. Other districts have told parents they have to decide virtual or in person and cannot change mid-semester. Will we consider a similar plan? I would imagine students moving back and forth between virtual and in person would cause difficulty. Yes, it is something we're very concerned with that. I have a call tomorrow to go over all this with the DOE, and I want to see what they say about how long you can do it. Our attorneys felt like we couldn't give a time. She said not to give like an arbitrary time. So I'll have more information about that. Are the answers to the survey and final decisions for parents? Are the answers to the survey the final decision for parents, or just being used in a way to determine no, we need to schedule this. So the answer to the survey will dictate where their child will be placed. Again, they do have the option of switching back out, but there will be a delay, and we're not sure of how long the delay will be.
Right.
Sandy, would you
At
answer
this
that
time-
question?
At this time, we aren't even putting all of our class lists out because it may change who's in a particular grade level in class. I mean, who's in a particular class in a grade level is going to vary depending on if they're virtual or live, because we're going to try to reduce the class sizes as much as possible. So it's really important that the parents think about it, decide what they're going to do, and let us know, because their class will be changed based upon their response, or maybe.
Would you answer the last question too that's on there, Sandy?
Okay. Mrs. Theodoropoulos could probably answer it even a little clearer, but are you available or unmuted?
Hi, how you doing? For their cohorts, for the self-contained classrooms, most of the ability to mainstream will be done virtually, because keeping the cohorts together is going to be our top priority, and keeping everyone safe. For the resource room students, there might be times that they can join the morning meetings, especially if outside. But again, most of their mainstreaming will be done virtually.
We possibly consider asking parents if it would be a hardship to them to keep kids home. Perhaps we could present the virtual option for those who can manage it in person, for those who need it, in order to allow for fewer students in person and help with natural social distancing. I'm not quite sure what that means, except for we do have a question on there whether or not they're opting for the virtual or stay home, unless, I mean, that's the question we're asking them is, are you deciding on virtual or in person? So if we have a lot of people doing virtual, that will definitely reduce the number of kids in the school. One of the things I wanted to mention too before we move on too is, no matter how much planning we have, and we do this all the time, we're on Zooms all the time together internally. It does help to have a bunch of other people come up with some other ideas that we didn't think of. So it's, some of them are, I kind of didn't think of it at all. So we do appreciate some of these thoughts that you guys are coming up with, because, no matter how much we all talk about it, we're all living it. It's almost like we kind of assume people understand certain things now, just because we've been talking about it so much. To have people chime in from outside, like that are hearing it for the first time, it really is valuable. So we appreciate that. So we have a question about explaining the difference between homeschooling and virtual. We could put some information about that. That's a good point, because I have seen that too.
Yes, and if a family decides to go homeschool, then they are completely responsible for their own child's education. They withdraw from our system completely, and there is no state requirement as to like what curriculum they need to use and so forth. The virtual learning is our system. Like, you're still registered in the Denville Township School District. You will still be taking the assessments and receiving the instruction and curriculum from our staff. So if someone does decide to do homeschool, they withdraw from our district at that time. And they can always come back, but at that time, we would not be contacting them.
I'm not quite sure about this last question. It says, have we considered a parent survey on program options? We only have two options right now. It would be the in-person program we're going to offer that will have a virtual component, and it'll be the all virtual component. Those are the only two options we have, and we definitely can't offer a third. So I'm not sure if you want to give me a call on that too, please do. contact me, send me an email, whatever, I'll call you back. If I didn't thoroughly answer one of your questions too, just let us know. We can send out an email to everybody. Some parents can't do the virtual component because of work obligations. Perhaps we can offer a virtual as a stronger option rather than pushing in person. Give them the opportunity to tell you that virtual will be a problem for their family financially. Perhaps we can create a safer, socially distant in-person experience by encouraging more to go virtual if they are able or their children do not require more in-person learning. Well, that's definitely something that the administrative team will talk about and see if there's a way we feel we could do that. So the game plan going forward is I'm gonna review all these three things with our school physician. I'm going to answer any other questions. If you want to talk to me tomorrow, that's fine. I also have a call with the executive county superintendent of schools tomorrow. We will definitely be putting all this out tomorrow. I expect to email you this group with the information, the answer to any of the questions we weren't able to answer. I also will send, prior to sending to the general public, I'll send all the information that you're getting to that other larger group of volunteers, just so that we include them in on it too. This is a very odd time. I mean, we all say we've never been through anything like this before, and things are changing all the time. I can't tell you whether or not we will have in-person schooling. I mean, there's some things that are looking like it might not happen, but for right now, we're all in favor of an in-person learning as much as we possibly can. And we will try to get a program off the ground for our public because we feel like we can. I do want to say that this is on a very small scale, but I was able to see the first day of our in-person extended school year program, which started yesterday. We only have 6 children signed up for it, but it was really nice to see some children in the school for the first time since March 13th. We do have some children that are coming in, and the staff has been terrific. The equipment we purchased has worked the way we wanted it to work, and it's provided the distance needed and also the safety for the staff and students. So I can't say enough of how great that has been and all the people who put work into getting that off the ground. It was a lot to switch gears. We started with a virtual program, and then for the last 7 days, we're switching to in-person for just a few children. So we're really happy with that. And again, all the things that you are doing for us and giving us suggestions really does help. Let's take a look here. A couple other questions real quick. Do we want to explicitly say we only have 2 options? If parents want to do half virtual, half in person, would that be? So the question they have to answer, the question says, do you choose virtual or in person? And they can only choose virtual or in person. They can't, there is no other option. There's no NA, there's no anything. And it is a required question. So they have to choose one or the other. Would the virtual learning period be for the entire year? Would the option be lifted if conditions improve? That's a good question. We don't know that. That came up today on my call in the county, whether or not like the governor's orders would change that say that you don't have to have the option. That could be a local decision, but it also might be a state decision. So we really don't know. Perhaps letting them know if the virtual option be more structured will make parents more confident in going virtual. So the issue with the virtual, and I understand what you're saying, the issue with the virtual is there's some things we can't do like our own class of. Like we might only have 1 or 2 kids in a certain class, like say French 2. Just say, for example, French 2, there's 1 kid that says, I want to do virtual. And there's 10 other kids that don't. We can't have 2 sections of French 2. What we would have to do is set up a live stream that the child would have to go on the computer and watch the lesson being taught virtually online, but through a live streaming process. So we're going to give as much information about it as we can, but at this point, we can't really give all the detail because we don't know how many kids are going to do it. And I know it kind of defeats the purpose of it. I understand what you're saying. If you give more detail, people will be able to make a better decision. Problem is we need the information to make the decision. Since it's a real possibility, when will we start working towards more specific virtual plan? Oh, that we're doing at the same time. We're going to have a all virtual plan as well in case the governor switches gears and says that schools are not open. Anyone I've spoken to is most nervous about the following: social distancing, mask door-to-door, rigor of virtual learning, sanitizing, HVAC, and protocols for who tests positive, making sure they're set and start. Yes, we agree. That's basically most of the questions, and we will provide as much information as possible in our plan. I don't envy us either right now. I mean, this is this is definitely a challenging time. But the one thing, though, we have to remember, I think sometimes we get a little caught up in that we're Denville, but this is something that's going on around the whole world, and we'll figure it out. We'll do the best we can, and we're typically kind of on the cutting edge on things, and we feel pretty confident that we're going to do a great job with it because we have great staff, and our technology backbone has been something that the district's invested in years. So some of the districts can't even do live streaming. We're one of the few districts that can do it because we have the technology backbone to do it. That's a pretty big thing, being able to live stream, because if you can't live stream, some of the virtual program would be very difficult to implement without the live streaming. Like the example I gave you before in the middle school, because we're also bound by a teacher contract that provides for the amount of time a teacher can teach and the length of their school day. So it's not like we could offer a whole like have a teacher teach full virtual program in the afternoon and a full regular in-person program in the morning. We have to follow teachers' contracts, so we are bound by that as well. So we are excited that we do have that option. So our document that we put out will have links to other documents too, and right on our website, if you want to look at it already, we have information about. We do have a lot of information about what would happen if somebody did test positive. It's a 25-page document, but this is what we're going to use to guide us. We really do appreciate everybody. I don't know if any of the other people have anything else to say. We appreciate everybody getting on these calls, and we will have as much stuff as we possibly can, get as much information out to the public as we possibly can. Anybody else want to add in from our administrative team?
My only thing is just reiterating what I said. And again, any help that you can give with getting people to respond to the survey is crucial, because that is how we're going to decide how can we reduce our class sizes, because that's obviously one of our main concerns too. We have some plans of using, our large spaces and breaking them into smaller classrooms so that we can reduce the number of kids in a room. But to do that, we just need to know numbers. And so your help is really, really vital.
Question is about the 25-page document. It's already on the website, on the resources, and it'll be linked in the document. When will the results of the survey be made public? So we obviously can't give out personal information, but we could say how many people opted for in-person and how many opted for virtual, but we couldn't give out, specific information about individual children. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you all for all your help on this, and you'll see some information from us tomorrow in an email.
Excuse me, Dr. Forte?
Yes.
One of our administrators would like to say something, and I just got them unmuted. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, great.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Dr. Forte, Dr. Cullis, and everyone. I just wanted to share that as a parent, my son is now going to camp, a school-based camp where he is wearing a mask all day, very much following protocol similar to everything we're putting in place, and he's thrilled. I mean, you know, it's tough on them wearing a mask all day, but, you know, just from that perspective, you know, I know everybody's going to decide their comfort level and things like that, but going through it as a parent has been eye-opening. So we're taking all of that into consideration as well. And, you know, he's really excited about it. So that was just something I wanted to share.
And what age is your son?
He's 6,
So he's going into kindergarten, or is he first grade?
first grade.
Great, thank you. That's great. Yes, the survey will be translated into different languages. I was going to do Spanish. I could do other ones, but I'm not sure if there's other ones that we need to do it in. So I know that people really have seen that Google Translate works pretty good. So that's basically how I do it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. We'll have everything I've been putting out to the public has had the Spanish translation too. And it's not like I speak Spanish. So just in case you guys are all, you know, impressed with my Spanish, it's Google doing it. And it's also Google's fault if it's not done right. So I can't tell you if it's perfect, but I know it looks pretty good from the Spanish I know. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time, and we'll have info out to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.